Coming up, we go out to the desert where the Sheik has been crunching the numbers. If Faison Brandon is QB1 this year, what does it mean historically when you stack him up against other true freshman quarterbacks? It's more and more the norm. We've seen more true freshman quarterbacks start in power conference schools this decade than any other decade prior. Of course, Trevor Lawrence, Jake Fromm, the gold standards, they led their team to national championship game appearances. They also had elite defenses to lean on. A lot to go into this, man. We will start to get in the details with the Sheik when we continue next. It's Fan Run Radio. Stay with us. We're back with more right after this. Let's go out to the desert and communicate with the Sheik. It's been a while. John Hodge, a.k.a. Haji, the Sheik, a.k.a. Johnny Blaze, returning to the Fan Run Airways. What up, Sheiky?
Hey, bud, you'd think I'd be in the witness protection program with all those AKAs, wouldn't you?
Yeah, man. Well, I know you've had a lot going on your plate on trying to follow this Brendan Sorsby thing and what it means for Texas Tech's opening week line against Dallas Baptist or whoever they're playing. But we're glad you could squeeze us in today.
Abilene Christian, yeah.
So you're on Substack now, huh? You've ventured into the world of online writing. I like it.
Yeah, I started this article, I guess, based on Tennessee situation, obviously, and it led into a grander thing, and I figured I should post it somewhere, and that was the first idea that came to my mind, I guess. Substack, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I posted the link on Twitter if you want to go find it at Russell_Smith and read John's work here. But basically, you're talking about true freshman quarterbacks in college football. There's a stigma there, right? Oh, they don't know the system. I mean, we all remember Peyton Manning, one of the greatest to ever do it. Running, it seems like a playbook back in 1994. But the times they are changing, Sheik, and there's a lot of true freshman quarterbacks playing right away these days.
We had 31 going back to 1975, actually, on this list, and 10 of those were in the last 2 years. So it's a lot more common now for true freshmen to play. Obviously, freshmen can enroll early and get familiar with the system, be in the system during the spring game, and that helps a lot. 2000, Phillip Rivers was the first to enroll early. Obviously, in this century, it's changed quite a bit, and the numbers tell the story.
No, it's interesting. On one hand, it feels like offenses are more complex when you hear about RPOs and all the different variations. I mean, I'm sure that modern football is a lot more complicated to learn from a mental standpoint than it was in 1972 when freshmen first came on board. And yet, as you said, 10 true freshmen the last 2 years. I mean, this is just becoming the norm. All kinds of reasons, I would imagine, for that, with the portal and NIL factors playing into it. But the numbers say that you can be successful doing it. I mean, we threw out the two examples, Jake Fromm, Trevor Lawrence, the gold standard here. They led teams to appearances in the national championship game as true freshmen. But as you point out in your article, Haji, they had something going for them on the other side of the ball that definitely helped.
Its defense is the key for true freshmen more than it is the true freshmen. As far as learning the playbook goes, they put the receivers in spacing, they shorten the field, they do half field reads, things like that, so the players can just focus on their talents and gifts and not trying to remember all that stuff from the playbook, like you said, et cetera. Basically, I've got a formula here to see what the most successful ones are. The recipe says you need to be a 5-star talent, appear in double-digit games, start at least 75% of them, rush for 27 yards per game net after sack yardage, have a QB rating of 145 or more, and have a top 25 defense on your side. True freshmen that had top 25 defenses went 107, 23, and 2, which is 82% winning percentage. So that's a huge part of it is your defense. And the more elite the roster, the less the true freshman quarterback has to carry the weight. So you can get help from your defense. If you've got a stout running game. Tennessee has one of the top 3 O-lines in the conference. They've got a running back that can carry the load. They've got receivers that they can get the ball to that are outstanding, improved from last year. So the recipe isn't horrible for Tennessee. I just think, actually, I looked up living your hopes, not your fears yesterday, and the first thing that came up was Johnny Majors said that. So I thought that was kind of a nice inkling for that too. So obviously easier said than done to have all those pieces on your side. But like you said, 26 to 31 had winning records. Only one 5-star had a losing record out of 14 5-stars. That was JT Daniels at USC, and he went 5-6. So he just missed out on a winning record in his starts. The 14 5-star quarterbacks, including JT, have gone 103 and 45 straight up in their starts. That's right at 70%. So Tennessee's win total 7.5. A little juice to the over. I like the over. I like Tennessee to go 8-4. Certainly, we know the 4 games that they'll be underdogs in, but I think if they can win one of those and lose one they're not supposed to, which is, Josh's MO, we'll still get to 8.
Haji, this is good work, man. I was looking through this, and it was a stroll down memory lane for me, just to hear names like that some of the younger folks aren't even going to be familiar with, but like Rick Leach at Michigan back in the mid-'70s, and then Robert Griffin more recently. And I wanted to ask about Griffin because you talked about this. You said of the 9 quarterbacks who had 350-plus net yards rushing, only RG3 had a losing record. The other 8 quarterbacks combined to go 68, 14, and 2. Feels like it kind of covered what you went through here, kind of covered various styles of quarterbacks, right? Because you talked about Dan Marino too, and you talked about some of these others, but it comes back to that common denominator that Russ pointed to and that you wrote, and that is about the defenses. And given what we've got happening with Jim Knowles coming in, look, the defense can only go up after what we saw last season, right?
Yeah. Teams with top 25 defenses went 82% winning percentage, but teams outside the top 50 went 64 and 74, so 46% straight up. So I don't know if we can sit out that first year waiting on his system to click. We got to get inside the top 30 if possible to help us out. Yeah, you mentioned Rick Leach. He's the first guy on the list in 75. He was the first guy to start his true freshman season in the first game. But they had a number 1 ranked defense, and he was only 32 of 100 passing for the entire season. So obviously they leaned on their running game. They went 7-2-2. That's the only season on here that has ties. He rushed for 552 yards. He only threw for 32%, as I mentioned, 32 for 100, and he went to the Orange Bowl, which was a big deal, obviously, in 75. I was looking at the 71 season when Conridge just missed out on his freshman year, and we finished 9th in the country. It was all about rushing defense then as well. Dan Marino, you mentioned Pitt won the Fiesta Bowl. Marino was 6-0 in his starts. The team was 11-1 as we get later on. And we had 6 quarterbacks that played from 75 to 94, which was Peyton, obviously. And then in the 2000s, there were 7. In the 2010s, there were 7. And in the 2020s, we're at 10, but 9 of those in the last 2 years.
That's pretty wild. I mean, that's a pretty stark shift and something you just never saw or very, very rarely saw as the numbers show. And it feels like it's becoming more normal, starting a true freshman at quarterback. We're talking with John Hodge here this afternoon, Fan Run Radio. And Haji, Heupel has been, he's been consistent. He's gotten good quarterback play. And we talk about the young quarterback defense formula. I mean, that's kind of what he did in 2024. And I know Nico was a redshirt freshman, so he doesn't figure into what we're talking about here, but it was pretty obvious that Heupel had pared down the playbook that year, right? And that was the one good defense he's had in 5 seasons here was that 2024 defense. Looking at this year, like who knows what to expect with Jim Knowles, right? I mean, people say it takes 2 years to learn, but then you bring all the Penn State kids with him. I'm looking at returning defensive players. I mean, Tennessee's pretty old on that side of the ball. So on one hand, I'm not expecting a ton of improvement. On the other hand, there's nowhere to go but up. And on the third hand, if we're talking mutant bodies here, you've got a defense that's full of experienced players, including guys that have already played in this system. So what are your expectations for that side of the ball this year?
Well, last year we were all freaking out about this time right after spring game that is, it's going to be 6-6, 7-5. We got a guy that turns it over a lot coming from Appalachian State, and there was obviously a lot of gnashing of teeth last year. But all he did, Joey, obviously, was lead the SEC in passing yards per game, finished in the top 3 in total yards, completion percentage, and QBR. I think Heupel's still a quarterback whisperer. I'm going to give him credit as far as that goes. Like I mentioned, the great offensive line, running back, receivers. I'm really not worried too much from the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, on the defense, the question becomes, I think linebacker we're good at. Chaz would be a big hold if we could keep him 1 year. I mentioned to somebody last night, I said, if somebody in his camp, whether it's on the staff or family or whatever, can just convince him that if he gets to his commitment, goes out and balls out this year, he can make a lot more money next year and go to Ohio State if that's what he wants to do, or maybe he decides to stay here. But it would behoove him to stay and work it out, And of course, we also think about, we all said, looking back on it, they should have just got rid of Boo as soon as possible last year. And so now I don't want to just say we're going to go through another year of that. But I'm at about 40% maybe that he's going to stay, whereas I thought, he's gone, no chance. So it'd be surely nice to have that elite edge rusher. That would help out our offense, certainly if we can put pressure on the other team's offense.
You mentioned, obviously our conversation focuses on Faison Brandon versus George McIntyre, but another true freshman that we'll all be keeping an eye on, maybe more hate watching than anything, would be Jared Curtis, and what he apparently is the guy. He's been anointed at Vanderbilt. I'm just thinking, Haji, and from your perspective, from a wagering point of view too, it feels like this is a team. Last year might have been as high a cotton as they're going to get. Now Clark Lee's done a really good job there, but boy, they lost a lot from that team. Yeah,
they lost a lot. Last in returning production for Vanderbilt in the SEC. He's Curtis, the number 2 quarterback in the class. He's their only option, basically. He's just too talented not to go out there and lead their team. He showed glimpses, I guess, in the spring game, 88 yards and 2 scoring drives. But they've got 3 new starters on the offensive line that may be good, actually, as transfers. A couple of new receivers. But they didn't recruit any other quarterback or get one in the portal, so they're all in on Curtis. So I think 6-6 in a bowl is doable. I don't expect them to certainly go anywhere near where they were last year. But their win total is 5.5. The over's -142. I think they'll get to 6.
For the listener who might not be on Twitter or can't go find the thing, where is this Substack? Where can people find it?
Coverboy Johnny on Substack, and Desert Dog Wins elsewhere. I changed my handle yesterday on Twitter or X to Desert Dog Wins.
Oh, did you?
To have a little more uniformity across lines. Yeah. So
Desert Dog.
You can find me.
Okay, I like it because he's Desert Dog. He's in the desert and he wins because he picks winners.
He does win.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Haji, we've got people in the chat begging for picks. Before you know it, we'll be talking with the Cover Boys and picking winners and getting on the right side of things.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have certainly some preseason win totals plays coming out pretty soon. And we still got a long way to go, but I'm so excited about doing this research. I expect big things from the Cover Boys this year and looking forward to every minute of it.
Yes, sir. All right, Sheik, we will talk again soon. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, boys.
Thank you, Haji.
See ya.
Haji, the myth of the true freshman quarterback. He broke it down, man.
Nah, he did some work there.
Yes.
There was no doubt. It was a good read.
No, not a rectally derived column right there. He did his research.
We do our research. Have you done your research?